What a game. What a weekend, Rube.
What a year. Today was something. It didn't come easily, certainly, and there were some scary moments, especially down at the end. But once again, the Eagles win. That's what they're best at, finding ways, and they did it again.
Yeah, they did it. They move on. They will host the NFC Championship Game next week. Same place, same time as today. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. Reuben Frank and Dave Zangaro. The Eagles win 28-22 over the Los Angeles Rams in a game that by the end was pretty darn snowy.
Yeah. Started out, didn't seem to be a huge factor, but I don't know, it was maybe around halftime, it just seemed like it started really getting worse.
Yeah, coming out of the second half, it started to dump snow, and you could tell at that point it was different out there. The game definitely changed, and we talked about this leading into the week. Whichever team handled the conditions better was going to have a shot to win this. Now, it could have gone the other way. Certainly, there were some scary moments, but the Eagles did enough.
Yeah, they did. Overcame a lot of adversity. A lot of things went wrong in this game. When you look at 2 missed extra points, you look at like AJ's drop, some really bad time penalties. Becton, illegal man downfield on that Dallas Goedert pass down to the 3 or the 2, wherever it was. There's just a lot of things. Obviously, Jalen taking a safety, not ideal. It's just a lot of things.
The Lane Johnson false start
that was
before the tush push.
Yeah, that was costly. They had so many opportunities in the red zone that they just, or inside the 30, 35, that they just did not make plays. There was just a lot of frustration. They overcame a lot. We talked about it this week. You said it, I don't know how many times, that there's, at this point, you just win, and that's all that matters. But they certainly have a lot to clean up.
They do. And look, I think this whole game is going to be a little tough to really analyze and be critical of because of the conditions. I think it really is tough to, AJ Brown drops the ball. He wasn't at his best today. They're not going to play in this kind of weather again, most likely. So it's going to be a little tricky to what do you really take from a lot of that, other than they figured out a way to get this done. They built a lead. They were able to hold on to it. The defense came through when they absolutely needed them to at the end. And Saquon Barkley is really, really good.
And I think the Eagles did handle the conditions better when you look at no turnovers to 2 for the Rams. I'm not sure how much the weather factored into them. I think it may have. Also may have factored into AJ's drop and a couple other drops, but it certainly was not ideal playing conditions. But I do think the Eagles, to come out of a game like this in these conditions without a turnover, that's huge.
Yeah, they got close a couple times.
They did.
But they didn't turn it over.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start today?
I thought we already started.
That was just the beginning. And we should mention that we all watched the games on Saturday. The Commanders take care of the upset in Detroit, which means the NFC Championship game is coming here. And I thought it was a possibility. I didn't think there was a great chance of that, but that's a big win for the Eagles to get a game here again.
Yeah, no question about it. And with each injury that Detroit suffered during the season on defense, I kept thinking, in a big playoff game, I just don't know if they're going to be at their best. And Washington's hot and they're confident. To go into that building and win like they did with a rookie quarterback and a first-year coach, it's really impressive. So we'll have all week to talk Washington, but it was an impressive win by them. It's not going to be a cakewalk for the Eagles.
Yeah, no, certainly not. Let's start with Saquon. Gosh, he ends up in this game, 26 carries, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also caught 4 for 27.
I'm just running out of ways to say he's the best football player I've ever seen.
It's unbelievable.
And he has such a flair for the clutch moment. And I kind of thought maybe that touchdown, he scored a little too quickly. Maybe he should have taken a knee on that one, run some more clock. But the way they were having trouble moving the ball, he did the right thing, obviously. But I mean, 4 touchdowns of 60 yards or more against the same team in a season.
I mean, the Rams never want to see Saquon Barkley again.
And, look, this was a big matchup thing that we talked about, that they don't have a good run defense. And, as the conditions got worse, they seemed to bottle up Saquon. But one thing I think Kellen Moore has been really, really good at is dialing up Saquon 25 times a game, even if you're talking about the last 10 carries went for 8 yards or the last 12 went for 10. There were a lot of -2s in there. There were zeros. Kept dialing them up, and obviously it paid off.
Yeah, I mean the big long touchdown run, which by the way gave you your bold prediction, right?
So I got to share that story. So on pregame, postgame, we do this weekly bold prediction. By the way, last week mine was Slay would get his first interception, which he did. So this week I went with Saquon breaking Brian Westbrook's franchise record for longest postseason run from scrimmage, 62 yards against the Saints in 06 down in the Superdome. So in the first quarter, he goes for exactly 62 yards. And all the guys on the show are texting me saying, you lost. It's not, he didn't break the record. He tied it. And as the way I worded it, I did say he would break the record and he didn't, but I also said it's still early. It's only the first quarter, and comes the fourth quarter. Or I guess it was it was the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
70,
Pretty late in the fourth quarter.
78 yards. So he broke it by 16 yards and broke Van Buren's single game record of 196 from the 49 NFL championship game against the Rams. Right? I don't think there's any players left from that team, but it was against the Rams at LA Coliseum, and the Eagles took a 3-day train ride out there, stopping in Chicago and Albuquerque to practice. I love that stuff. So
Saquon had 5 fewer carries.
Yeah, what did he finish with? 205?
Yeah.
So he had 460 in 2 games against the Rams this year.
It's the 5th most yards ever in a playoff game.
Yeah,
rushing.
And he's getting close to Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis, whatever his name is.
T.O. ruined everything.
Yeah, he did. We'll just call him TD. He's just so clutch and so explosive. I knew he was good, and I knew he was tough and powerful. But the 2 things that have surprised me have been his flat out speed, especially in the snow. And I wrote about it this week, just his ability to take care of himself. And we've seen so many running backs, and you think of the Michael Turners and, Edgerrin James and these guys who have these great regular seasons, Sean Alexander, and they're just not the same guy, under that workload of touches, 400 touches. Saquon is as good now as he was on day 1 of OTAs, or maybe better. It's rare. It's unprecedented to see a running back who had that many touches do what he's doing in the postseason. And I give Nick and the training staff some credit for, Nick doesn't practice him on Wednesdays, and they get him out of games when they can. It probably cost them the record. But man, he is ready for the moment. And where would this team be without him? I don't know if I've ever seen a single player make such a difference on an Eagles team. Like, they've had great teams with a lot of great players. Maybe Randall in 1990. That wasn't a great roster. Some great defense. Maybe T.O. in 04, but he wasn't there for the first 2 playoff games, so probably not. I don't know who else he'd put in that category. He's meant more to this team than anybody I can remember on an Eagles team.
Yeah, and look, he's not going to win an MVP, but you understand why people are chanting MVP when he breaks off those long runs.
Yeah.
He's been unbelievable. My favorite thing, Next Gen Stats tweeted this during the game. Jared Verse reached 21.6 miles per hour in pursuit of Barkley on that first touchdown. Saquon was toying with him. How fast was Saquon going?
Yeah.
How fast could Saquon have gone?
Yeah. He kept hitting himself in the helmet. What was that?
I don't know. Yeah, and I mean, just unbelievable. The burst. Like, there's no doubt that when he breaks through the line, he's just gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a little exchange between him and Jalen. Did you catch that? Did anyone?
Jalen didn't answer what it was about. Yeah, I don't exactly know.
Because it looked like Jalen checked out to more of an outside run.
I was not there for Saquon after the game. I think I did hear that he said he didn't know the play or didn't know where to be or something like that.
He smirked at Jay. He smirked like they knew something was up. They knew.
I think they knew.
Yeah.
I think they knew he was going to break. I mean, Jalen said he knew when they got in that call that he was going to break one.
Yeah. Well, and he checked out of a call. So that tells you, yeah. So something was up. But it was a cool moment. And, that's where, I mean, all that stuff Nick says about connecting. I mean, you have a running back and a quarterback who are really close, and they, their connection allowed that to happen. That check down and that check and that play, which they sure needed those points.
Yeah, they needed all the points today.
They needed some points they didn't get.
Yeah, it got a little dicey there at the end. Before we talk offense and defense, let's kind of talk about the way this game ended because Saquon breaks that 78-yard run, and you're thinking that's ball game. There's 4.5 minutes left. They're up 28-15. But man, that drive for the Rams was way too easy.
Yeah.
They went 70 yards on 10 plays, a minute 48. It felt like I was watching. Sorry to do this to Jonathan Gannon, but I felt like I was watching one of those Jonathan Gannon, like everyone step back and let them cut you down on underneath.
Yeah, it was too fast, and I thought they were too passive, and it's something, Vic. I mean, it's tough because you don't know. Look, you don't if you play more aggressive, maybe you give up a big play, and Stafford, look, when he gets hot, and we talked about this, man, he's one of those quarterbacks. He's been through it all. He's played in a lot of big games, a lot of playoff games. He's won a Super Bowl. He throws for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns in every playoff game he plays. He's just a really good veteran quarterback, and they let him get hot, and he drove them down. And they scored with 2:48 left. Is that right?
Yeah.
I did think on the next drive, and then the Eagles had a really ugly 3 and out.
Yeah, they had a Saquon run for 3, and then they had the rollout play with Jalen takes a 12-yard sack. I mean, that just can't happen.
Can't happen.
And like in that situation, like the play call's got to be better. We're seeing Jalen Hurts kind of hobble around the field. We know he's not 100%. You can't. I understand it. I understand why you want to do that play. You can't in that situation because he doesn't have the mobility.
Yeah. 2nd and 7, you got to do better than that.
Yeah. So they hit the 12-yard loss, and then it's a Saquon run for 6. The Rams did use all their timeouts, but they get back on the field with 2.5 minutes at their own 18 with a chance to drive down the field and win the game.
How long did the Eagles did that 3 and out last? Like 12 seconds?
25
seconds.
Yeah. Well, it was the timeouts, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, it was way too quick. They gave up that touchdown way too quick, and then they got off the field way too quick. They put a lot on their defense.
They did.
And look, they started moving down the field a little bit.
And I did think Vic got a little more aggressive with blitzing, and they started pressuring Stafford a lot on that drive. They got to him a couple times, and yeah, I mean, it was hairy, because they got down inside the 25, right? What was their last line of scrimmage? 21. But Jalen Carter was just unstoppable on that drive. I thought Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith.
They were down to the 13 before the Jalen Carter sack.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. It was 3rd and 2 from the Eagles 13. Carter gets a 9-yard sack, and then the last pass goes incomplete.
And Eagles.
I mean, Jalen Carter saved that game. He might have saved the season.
He might have. I mean, it was a 6-point game thanks to Jake Elliott, and I mean, thanks to a lot of things, but thanks to Jake Elliott missing 2 PATs.
He also made some tough field goals.
He did. The 44-yarder was impressive. High leverage kick. The conditions weren't great at that point, but you got to make your PATs. But that's another story. It was hairy, but I thought they really pressured well. That 4th down pass, I'm not sure what happened. He just overthrew Puka Nacua. I expected, at least expect him to throw the ball in bounds. In that.
Jalen Carter was in his face again.
He was.
Got a QB hit on that last play.
Yeah.
So the last 2 plays, Jalen Carter gets a sack, a 9-yard sack on 3rd down, gets in Matt Stafford's face on 4th down. He's look, incredible. Zach Bond's their defensive MVP. Jalen Carter's right there. And Jalen Carter, we know, is going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Both games, he and Nolan have both been incredible. But yeah, I mean, Jalen is.
Yeah, the 2 Georgia guys forcing fumbles in this game.
Yeah. And getting sacks. I mean, the 2 of them have combined for 5 sacks in the playoffs, which is crazy. I think it's crazy to think that the knock on Jalen. Well, one of the knocks on Jalen Carter was his fitness, that he wouldn't be able to play a full game in the NFL, and that he wouldn't be effective late in games. And I mean, I give that guy so much credit for taking care of himself and putting in the work and getting his body in shape where at the end of games he's dominating.
Yeah, the Pro Football Focus numbers, these snap counts are not official. 69 of 71 snaps.
That loser, he missed 2 snaps. But
isn't that unbelievable for a defensive tackle in a playoff game where he just fills up the stat sheet?
Yeah. What did he have? We had a couple tackles for loss, 2 sacks.
Yeah, the Jalen Carter stat line: 5 tackles, 2 sacks. 3 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for loss, pass breakup, forced fumble.
Guy's
It's
incredible.
unreal.
And I watched every game Jerome Brown played, and it's probably the best interior lineman I saw. Fletcher was better over a longer period as far as like he strung together a lot of really, really, really good years. But as far as like taking over a game, Jerome Brown was in a class by himself, and Jalen Carter's at that level now. Obviously, Fletcher played at a high level for a lot of years, but just his ability to take over a game is, and I'm talking about Jalen Carter. He's as good as any interior lineman in the league at in those high leverage moments when they need a pressure, they need a hit, they need a tackle for loss. Man, he just comes up big time after time.
He absolutely does. All right, we kind of walk through the end of the game there. You want to go back and we'll talk offense,
Yeah,
a little bit. Jalen Hurts in this game ends up 15 for 20, 128 yards, no touchdown passes, no interceptions. He does run for 70 yards on 7 carries, had a 44-yard touchdown run, the longest of his career.
yeah, and I'm sure you figured this out, but the 5th longest ever by a quarterback in the postseason, and the longest by an Eagles quarterback in the postseason by 39 yards. Like nobody ever had a longer one than 5 yards, which is kind of surprising because they've had, Vic and Donovan and Randall
and Jalen.
That's true.
He hasn't done it.
He hasn't done it, but yeah, that was a good way to start. Jalen 7 sacks and 27 dropbacks is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's not like the defense or the offensive line was just
no,
giving up a ton of pressure. Now the safety, I think it was Cam whiffed on that one, but Jalen, you're in the end zone, Jalen. You got to get the ball out.
Just throw it. Throw it away. I thought maybe all of them were on Jalen. Maybe 1 or 2 were on the O-line. I have to go back and watch them all, but his pocket awareness since he came back has been lacking. And, rust isn't an excuse anymore. And look, whatever the conditions are, Matt Stafford made a lot of plays in those same conditions. And I just think Jalen's got to be better. And I'm no turnovers is big. The safety's kind of like a turnover. It's not a turnover, but it's similar. They get the ball back.
You can argue it's worse than a turnover.
You can, yeah, because it's points too. And those 2 points, we're looking
close game, yeah,
pretty big at the end of the game. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. He looked like he banged up was it his knee?
Yeah, I think it was his knee. We never got an official word on that. We thought he was going to miss some time. He was clearly not right. So he takes that 1 3rd down sack, and then they're out there. Or it was what, it was a 2nd down sack. He gets hit, and then he's out there on the next play, hands the ball off, and then limps off the field. He couldn't move. So I give him credit for coming back in the game, but he clearly was not mobile. We'll see what happens. He already said he's playing next week, but if his mobility is limited, that changes things.
It sure does. And we'll see. Look, you're not going to play Kenny Pickett in an NFC Championship game unless Jalen's completely unable to go. I would think he would start at the very least and see how it goes. They'll treat him. Got all week to treat him, but it was scary. And when he can't run, as we saw, he's just not the same player without the threat of
right. Yeah, you just need the threat of it. Like seeing him take off for that 44-yarder is like, man, if he's going to do that, what else? Like, how are you going to stop Saquon?
And he's been running really well the last couple of months when he's played. I think we talked about it. Just like he had a 22, he had a 22 longer run 3 straight games before he got hurt in that second Washington game, and he just looked fast and healthy from a running standpoint. So that's a big thing to lose.
Do you guys still grade the quarterback?
We do.
What'd you give him? This is a tough one.
I went C+.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm giving him for this game. It's kind of a weird game because, like I said, it's like tough to analyze anything from it, especially offensively, I think.
Yeah.
But I
thought he handed off really well.
Yeah, he could be better, certainly.
Yeah.
But he made some plays too.
He's got to know that you just can't hold on to the ball for.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the biggest issue for him in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
And then again, if AJ Brown catches that touchdown pass,
yeah,
like his stat line looks a lot better. The whole offense looks.
Would have been
better.
A touchdown. Looked like he might have been down at the 2.
I don't know. Yeah, either way, it would have been probably a touchdown.
Jalen Hurts in his first 11 games had 14 completions of 35 or more yards. Doesn't have any sense.
Yeah, they're not throwing downfield. Well, they did a little bit
Yeah.
today. It just hasn't been a part of the offense.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's like something he does really well. Like as a passer, throwing the go ball is something he's really good at.
He is. He is, and he just missed on that 3rd and 1 to AJ last week. I look, I think against teams like the Packers and Rams, you don't need those. I think against a team like Washington, you might.
I think so, but we say this every week.
Yeah.
Like at some point they're gonna have to do it.
I still believe.
Like they're coming off the field after winning the Super Bowl. We're like, yeah, but they're not hitting them downfield.
I guarantee if that happens, I won't say it. But look, if they can beat Washington without getting the ball down the field, more power to them. I think it's something that would really help the offense.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just
they also had really bad. I'm sorry.
Just the threat of it would
Yeah.
being there is a big deal.
They had some really bad field position. It was not a good field position game. And I think Kellen really likes to be conservative, like when they're in the soup, as Kotite used to say. We're in the soup. We want our own 5-yard line, my friend.
Sometimes I wonder who the Kotite impression is for.
Well, there's a lot of Eagles fans who lived through those 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah. 91, 92, 93, 94, who are permanently scarred by no cookbook answers. And I know I am. So it's for them. It's for those guys who were along for the ride from 91 to 94.
Okay. A little shout out to those people.
There's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot of them. They're along for the ride now. But yeah, I just think he has to be better. And, I think there's been times in his career where he does kind of lose that pocket awareness. He usually works through it. And if he's healthy, I expect him to again.
Yeah.
I still think he's a good player.
Yeah, and look, he didn't turn the ball over in this game. Which
he's now got the 4th longest streak ever.
It matters. Like,
it does.
If you're going to win a close game like this, that absolutely matters.
Yeah.
So it was the difference in the game last week, right? It's like Jordan Love turns the ball over, Jalen doesn't, and they win the game. So, I don't want to reduce an entire sport to that, but it matters. It matters a lot.
And Nick now 32-2 when the Eagles win the turnover margin. And the 2 losses, one was Washington a couple weeks ago, and the other one was the Chiefs in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't happen often, but it happened with this team that's coming to town next weekend.
Yeah. Looking at the other stats from this game, Kenny Gainwell had just 1 run for 10 yards, but he also had a catch for 10 yards. And that was when Saquon got a little banged up early in the game, getting his arm or hand or something checked out. He came back in. But,
so it's 10 yards per touch for Kenny, highest in the game.
Yeah, much better than Saquon.
Way higher.
Yeah. Looking at the receiving numbers, Goddard had 4 for 56. Saquon had 4 for 27. Devontae Smith had 4 for 21. A.J. Brown, 2 catches for 14 yards on 7 targets. They tried to get in the ball in this game.
Yeah.
It wasn't his best game. He dropped that one over the middle.
Yeah, 2 drops.
Yeah, little alligator arms there. Look, he might have gotten drilled.
Yeah. For who? For what?
Yeah. Well, I don't think. Yeah.
No. He blocked well.
Hey, him and Devontae had big blocks on that Jalen Hurts run.
Yeah, they did.
Touchdown run.
Yeah, Saquon had a nice block. I didn't see Devontae's, but and were you there for his post game for AJ?
I heard about it.
He was great. I love that guy. He's a winner, and he said, "Yeah, I know what the stats say, but I had 2 touchdown blocks in this game," and he was like beaming, and that is important. That matters.
Yeah, those are big blocks.
They are.
Yeah,
and they're big for him. And
yeah, especially if you're talking like these long touchdown runs.
Yeah,
you need someone blocking downfield.
You see Becton's block on.
Yeah, he blew that guy up.
Yeah, it was great.
It's fun watching Becton and Landon, the big guards, get downhill. It's like the Mack truck going downhill, and they're teeing off on some of these little poor linebackers.
Yeah, it's great to see.
Uncharacteristic drops. I mean, I don't think AJ dropped the ball all year.
No, he didn't. And I think Nick just mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, jinxed him. But we don't talk enough about Goddard. But he's got 8 targets in the playoffs and 8 catches for probably 110 yards or so, something like that. It just seems like every time they really need a completed pass, Jalen's looking for Goddard, and he's been really solid in these 2 games when there really hasn't been much to get excited about in the passing game.
Yeah, that long one, I think his man fell down.
Yeah, he slipped.
You'll take.
Yeah, And then obviously the one to the 19-yarder to the 3 got called back. But man, this they're so lucky he's healthy, and he's just been really solid in these 2 games. And really his whole career in the postseason, he's been good.
Yeah, he's a big weapon.
Yeah.
You're right about that, though. It's like unfortunate that he missed so much time this year, but to get him healthy for the playoff run is such a big boost.
Yeah.
Anything else on offense you want to hit?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Let's take a break. We'll take a break. We'll talk defense. We'll talk special teams, and we'll have some little nuggets at the end.
Oh, I like nuggets.
All right.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today.
All right, we're back on the Eagle Eye podcast as Rube rifles through some papers there.
Is that what it is? Rifling through?
I don't know. Ruffling?
Yes, rifling.
I think it's rifling. Defense.
Yeah.
We already talked about Jalen Carter, but let's start with him again because he was a monster in this game.
He was.
Goodness gracious.
And he has been for a while. And it's funny because like every time he got singled, he was in Stafford's face. Every time there were some plays just like, all right, we're going to single him. But he also was making a difference getting doubled. And I'm just astonished how good he is.
He's so good. And we'll talk a lot this week about the matchups against the Commanders. Sam Cosmi got hurt.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So we'll see his status. He's their best guard. He's actually given he's given Jalen Carter some fits. So if he's not there, that's a big deal.
That is. Yeah. I wouldn't want to block Jalen Carter. I'd get hurt before that game.
How about this? Jalix Hunt with a sack.
Yeah.
Moro Ojimo with a sack. Ojimo's first sack in his career.
Yeah.
Saved it to the fourth quarter of a playoff game.
It was a big one. And I thought that was a cool thing that 2 of the young guys, kind of rotational guys, were able to break into the postseason stat column. Those are both big plays. And, you know, I mean, Jalix Hunt has, if you had told me when they drafted him that he'd be, I mean, I think he's played well, you know, in addition to that sack. I don't know what his line was today. He had tackle for loss. He had a QB hit. He had the sack. When they drafted him, I thought this was gonna be a redshirt year. I really did. And I know you expected a little more than that, but based on this guy was a safety at Cornell and transfers to Houston Baptist, which then changes its name to Houston Christian.
Well, it didn't change its name while he was there.
I think they did. I think he suggested it. I
Okay.
think he went to the provost's office and said, you know what?
Like us to be more inclusive.
I mean, I thought he was such a long range project is what I'm trying to say. So to see him contributing in important situations like this is, and I'll tell you what, when you look ahead, I don't want to look too far ahead, but I don't know what that position is going to look like next year beyond Nolan Smith. So to have a guy that maybe, you know, is in the mix is pretty interesting.
Yeah, he played 17 snaps, 0 for Bryce Huff.
Quite nice again for Sweaty. He's had a stretch of not. I think he did have a tackle for loss, but I think he's got 1 sack in his last 7 years. Been a really streaky year for him.
It was a nice TFL though.
I don't remember it specifically, but I still like the player. I just like to see a little more pressure from Sweat. But it was really the interior and Nolan, and then
His TFL was it was the drive after the CJ Gardner-Johnson one. So like 3rd and shorts, run stuffs, one by CJ and then the next one by Josh Sweat.
Yeah. I'm not a huge Kyron Williams fan. He actually was better than I expected.
He was okay.
He had some big runs. He probably was over 100 yards. I don't know what his final numbers were. I
thought he ended with 19 for 106.
I think they really, really missed BG and N'Kobe in the run game and run defense. They're just not the same run defense. They had a 100-yard rusher and they got out rushed by 180 yards by the Eagles. But yeah, it was good to see some of those young guys get in the mix.
Yeah.
What do you know about Quinyon Mitchell's injury?
So I was actually going there. I did not speak with him. Olivia Reiner from the Inquirer did. He said he's fine and asked if he had any long-term concern. He said, no, I'm going to be good.
It's
We'll
good
see.
news. Yeah.
It's good news, but
A
also
lot of guys say that.
right after a game, we've learned that you can't just take it what a guy says after a game
Yeah.
For gospel. But I mean, it would be a big deal to get him back. You hope he's back. Isaiah Rodgers had the kind of an up and down game. He gave up some plays, but he made some plays too.
Could have had that interception.
Yeah, it was in his hands.
Yeah.
The Eagles had some opportunities for picks. He had that one. Cooper DeJean dropped one.
Yeah, that could have been huge.
Yeah, Isaiah was like in good position too on some of the ones he gave up. He's just got to make the play. You got to go up and get the football.
Right. I think if he does have to play, and then it was a really nice return he had on that fumble recovery, little spin move with the ball.
I asked him if he thought about just dropping on it. He said no.
He's quick.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's fast. If he does have to play corner, I'm okay with him. I think he's a good player, even though he did have a couple tough snaps.
Yeah, he's not as good as Quinyon.
No,
but Quinyon's excellent. Yeah. I thought Slay had a good game.
Slay had a really good
game. On that quick touchdown drive, he was playing off a little too much and he gave up some plays, but he made some big pass breakups. I think he had 3 pass breakups in this game.
He's playing well.
We mentioned Nolan Smith. That
I thought Oren Burks played well.
Yeah, he ended up with 6 tackles, a quarterback hit, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass breakup. I don't know if Vic was playing games with us this week. It doesn't seem like Vic's style. Maybe they just started Oren and said, "Hey, he's playing well. We're going to stick with him." But no Trotter.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what happened because he did get off to a good start. I was concerned. I thought Trotter was the better option, and I wrote that. But Oren Burks played really well.
Yeah, I thought he made some plays. He had that one tipped pass. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
I thought he played fine. They missed Nakobe for sure, but like you have backup level players in Oren Burks and Isaiah Rodgers. They're not going to be as good as the starters. They just have to not be like
liabilities
that you circle, and Sean McVay is frothing to get them into bad situations. So, I thought they performed fine.
Frothing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll accept frothing.
Zach Bond again. Another good game.
All over the field.
Yeah, he really is everywhere. 6 tackles, a TFL, pass breakup, and the fumble recovery.
Yeah, really good player. That was a nice pass breakup. It was. I started like, can't you just bat that to yourself? But yeah,
he makes plays every single week.
He does.
It's unbelievable. Anything else on defense you want to hit?
No, it was good to see 5 sacks, and Stafford will take sacks. He'll get himself sacked. He doesn't move. He did run for, I think it was his 2nd straight game that he's run for
a first down,
a long first down, like
9 yards.
Yeah.
In this one, yeah.
But it was good to see the sack numbers, and what I guess 3 of them from the interior.
Yeah, well, 2 from Carter, and then the 1 from Ojima.
Right, 3 from inside, and then Nolan and Jalix. Nolan's got 3.5 sacks in the postseason.
Mm-hmm. Really cool to see Nolan run out of the tunnel holding Nakobe Dean's jersey.
That was.
Yeah. We talked earlier in the week, like how close they are.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about how close they are. They were college roommates and they miss them, but go on. It's kind of like when Lane Johnson carried out JP's jersey at Super Bowl 52.
Yeah, well, when Jerome Brown died and the Eagles were in the playoffs the next year, they brought his locker to every game. They set up his locker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, every road game, just as a tribute, just to have him with them. Yeah.
Anything else defensively?
No.
Special teams.
Mixed bag.
The PATs you don't want to miss, but then Jake makes some big field goals. You know who might be the MVP of this game? Braden Mann.
Great game.
Those snaps were not good.
Yeah.
They were
the one in particular,
high and wide.
I think on the 44-yarder was awful.
Definitely high and wide, and
he punted well too.
Just to catch it. I mean, that almost was a complete you have a snap go by the holder.
Yeah.
That's a loose ball in the snow. Crazy things can happen.
Sure.
So Braden Mann, great job as a holder. And then the one punt was ugly. He got a nice roll and it ended up being a big one.
And Jake, missing 2 PATs in a row in a postseason it's just really bad. But or 3. Did he miss one last? No, what did he miss last week?
Yeah.
So 3 missed PATs in a postseason. But I give him credit for bouncing back and making those field goals. He's now 22 for 22 in his career in the postseason, and there's something to be said for that. I don't think the misses bother him, and if they did, they'd be in really bad shape. But he's just got to be better. That's just he's missed. I think he's missed 5 PATs in the postseason. He's never missed a field goal.
It's weird.
It is weird. But look, he's the guy. There's no one else. You're not gonna find anybody better at this point in the season.
No. And yeah, the field goals he did make were really big. They were clutch.
Yeah,
it is fun when you have a snow game like this. You see everyone on the field trying to wipe clean the spot for him to kick from.
I thought the 44-yarder was a pretty high leverage kick, and that was a big one. Kenny Gainwell had a nice return, nice kick. Right? What was it, 44 yards?
Yeah.
That was big.
And in this game, Isaiah Rodgers started back there as one of the kick returners. Then he ends up having to play on defense. So Will Shipley ended up being the other guy with Kenny G.
Every time you say Kenny G, I think of that trumpet player guy.
Yeah.
That music dude, Kenny G.
I know who Kenny G is.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it for special teams.
Okay. Any nuggets you want to get to?
Nuggets.
I have some good nuggets.
Well, just Saquon's the first player in history with 5 60-yard touchdowns in a season.
It's unbelievable.
Or whatever he has now. He's not the first player he's the first player with 4 touchdowns against the same team of 60 yards or more. Jamal Lewis actually had 3, believe it or not. Yeah, I'll do my stats. I'm going to have fun with Saquon. I might just do all Saquon stats.
Do it. Yeah, it's fun.
No, what do you got? Jalen Hurts now has the 4th longest streak in history of passes in the postseason without an interception. Something to be said for that.
Yeah, certainly matters.
Yeah. What do you got?
I like that Jared Verse was happy to be like a WWE heel.
Yeah.
In this game. He's
really good.
He's a good player, but he was also giving it to the crowd. He did a lap before the game. So
he ran right by us.
Everyone could boo him.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I if you're gonna say stuff like that during the week, he said he hates the Eagles fans and he just hates what do you say? He hates to see the green and white.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it if you go to the game and you play it up and
don't run from it.
Yeah, he was happy to get booed. Yeah. And heck, the one time he got booed, the Eagles ended up getting a false start. It was loud in the building after they were booing him. And the Eagles had to go to a silent count.
Oh wow!
So it worked.
Yeah,
and I kind of like that. He's going to be a good player for a long time.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, it's weird. Their defensive front. They're active. They're physical, but they got a bunch of guys that are undersized.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a good running back, I'm not sure
That's the thing. It's they can get upfield and get after the passer, but you can bully them with an offensive line that's this big, and that's what happened.
Eagles ran for 285.
Yeah, they didn't quite get the 314 like they got in the last game against these guys, but still pretty good.
600 rushing yards against the same team.
And in this game, I know that you've talked about Andy Reid saying you pass in the snow because the defense can't react to it, but you can run in the snow.
Yeah.
You just can.
Yeah.
You can ground and pound. They know what's coming. It doesn't matter.
I like that Saquon studied Shady. I think he talked to him during the week.
He said he was going to talk to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did.
I know he said he wanted to. I think he did.
I'm sure Shady's advice was just wrong. I don't know if Shady even knows what he did.
I think he said the advice that Shady gave him was trust your cuts. You can make those cuts. Don't worry about it. And
I only saw him slip once.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was it on a 2-yard loss?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. I wish I could put into perspective how good that guy is. You don't know, people don't run for 200 yards in a playoff game. What is it, 5th most yards ever in a playoff game?
Yes.
I think, does Dickerson have that record?
He does, 248.
Dickerson's sitting there thinking, this guy's never going to catch me. But I didn't do the math yet, but he's going to be one more good game and he'll get TD's record. I didn't work the numbers yet, but we'll have him Tuesday.
Yeah. To put it in perspective, how rare it is, he's now 5th. Dickerson is first. That happened in the 85 season. Raheem Mostert
Former Eagle.
is second, the 2019 season.
That was an NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm. Lamar Smith.
What do you have, 209? 220, right?
Yeah, 220.
It's all up here somewhere.
Lamar Smith in 2000, 209.
Lamar Smith.
Keith Lincoln in 1964.
Love Keith Lincoln from the Chargers, right?
206. And then there's Saquon. So it's rare. It doesn't happen. And he's doing these things.
Keith Lincoln was a great locker room guy.
Good quote.
Love that guy. Yeah.
Speaking of Lincoln, good flight from Lincoln the Eagle today.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Well, what was his flight pattern there?
Good. I'm glad you asked. He went out, went over the field, then did a loop on the far side, looped back around to the end zone, kind of hovered there for a little bit, and then landed.
Do you have any advanced analytics on his speed?
I don't think he was too fast in this one, but good flight pattern.
Okay.
Good anthem. Another instrumental anthem.
I heard the rehearsal.
Trumpet player.
Yeah.
I like an instrumental anthem.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, because everyone who sings it, they overdo it. They turn into like, I don't know. They start like they're doing that yodeling, high pitched, like like coloratura. Is that what they call that? The voice starts vibrating and like you turn every word into like 9 syllables. Everybody oversins it. So nice instrumental, trumpet, sax. Maybe a flugelhorn would be nice.
That'd be nice.
String quartet. I'd be down with that. Little like a Baroque version, a little Vivaldi in there.
I like that.
Yeah. What's the best you've ever heard? Do you have a favorite anthem ever?
I love the Chris Stapleton one from.
It was great, wasn't it?
The Super Bowl.
That was tremendous.
I've joked with Nick Sirianni about that because it's one of my favorite anthems ever. And every time anyone looks it up, they're just going to see Nick crying.
When we landed in Arizona for the Super Bowl and got in our rent-a-car, which was a Nissan Rogue, the first thing we heard was Chris Stapleton.
Oh.
That was the first song we heard. We had that Outlaw Country on. I was going to say my favorite ever, and this is it's so off the wall, but you remember Kelsey Grammer, the actor from Frasier?
Yeah.
He did a national anthem, I believe it was before an NBA All-Star game, and it was incredible. He just sang it. Like, he's got a really strong, powerful voice, which I never knew. But you can kind of like the way, I mean, he was a radio host on TV, I guess, on Frasier. But it was just right down the middle, strong, assertive, but no frills, and it was tremendous.
I also like Marvin Gaye from the 84 NBA All-Star game.
Okay.
Check that one out. That one's fun.
Really?
Yeah. Any other leftovers here? Brian Dawkins in the building today.
I missed him. Yeah, I saw he was there.
Really cool. Like, kind of a fun moment. They didn't announce he was there. And then they're like at a break before the defense is on the field. And it was after like a really bad punt, like a bad 3 and out from the Eagles offense. And the building was kind of quiet. Defense is on the field. There's not much juice. And they show it was like a WWE entrance. Like, they show on the Jumbotrons, Doc walking through the tunnel with those like green flashing lights, and it's just him like staring straight ahead. And then he like walked out and did his Weapon X stuff.
Nice. Did the pregame show with Jason Avant and the postgame show with Ike Reese, which was a lot of fun. Great job by those guys. A little shout out to them.
Very good.
And we'll have Jaws back Sunday.
Corey Clement was the honorary captain. Good to see Corey at the game. He was in the locker room after. Also saw some former Eagles, Kelsey, Bo Allen, Fletcher Cox.
Bo Allen's everywhere.
He is.
It's crazy.
Kelsey was wearing some kind of like an Eagles poncho when I saw him.
I mean, Bo Allen's around more than when he played. Like, seriously.
We love Bo.
And I think Kelsey might be too.
Might be true.
He's everywhere. He was at unit transfer Friday night. Then he was in Kansas City Saturday. And then he was here today. Yeah, he's everywhere.
Early thoughts on the Commanders?
I think it's a tough game. I think they're just a very confident team right now with and they draw that from their young quarterback who's just
he's nails.
They win these games in the last few seconds. Like, they've done that repeatedly. If you own a Ford Field and beat a 15-win top seed in their building decisively, that gets your attention. And Um, it just seems like they're a team that just has gotten more confident each week, and they're rolling. Now, look, the Eagles are the better team. I think Washington's defense is mediocre. I don't think it's a great defense.
They got a nice game from Jonathan Allen. He hasn't been himself, but he was good in that game.
Yeah. I just
Mikey Senner still playing really well.
Really is. Yeah. I mean, they have some really good players. I think the strength of that team right now is just the confidence that emanates from Jaden Daniels. And he's just got that certain special something that you just don't see. Well, you don't see from many veterans, but certainly from a rookie. So it's going to be a challenge. But man, to have that game here is huge. Eagles have won 9 straight home games now since Atlanta.
It's just so much fun that we have an NFC Championship game coming here.
Yeah.
You know how much joy I took on Saturday night canceling my flight and hotel in Detroit?
You did. Yeah. So it's the first time they'll face a division team in a NFC Championship game since Dallas in '80, which they won.
And if you remember that game, like the Eagles should have won that game with their backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And the fun thing about going into this matchup, that was a chippy game.
It was.
That was a really chippy game.
Yeah.
So I think there's some bad blood between these two teams.
And there's going to be more on Sunday. So I can't wait. I mean, how many, this will be what how many NFC Championship games just at the link? 01, 02, 03, 04. And then 17, 22. So this would be the 6th one, which that's a lot. So 08 was in Arizona. So that was the only road conference championship game within this run. But yeah, to have this game here, I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to go to New Orleans.
How did since I was at the game, how did the snow look on TV? Like, could you tell how much it was coming down?
It was hard to tell. Yeah, it was hard to tell. You know, TV is just it's weird. It's tricky, but you could tell it was really starting to get worse in the fourth quarter.
Going into the fourth quarter, it was dumping snow as hard as it had.
Yeah,
the entire game. I never do this. After the game, I walked back out on the field because I just wanted to see what it was like.
Yeah,
on the field. It's different when you're just like playing in snow and it's falling, as opposed to when it's on the ground. There was probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches on the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, and some spaces.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot, and you can see like guys were kind of some guys struggled with it, some guys were okay with it. I think it's always going to be a mixed bag. I think the Eagles had some players who were pretty honest about not enjoying it. Josh Sweat, AJ Brown. Then there were guys like Zach Bond who was like, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Wisconsin guy.
Right.
Jalen Carter seemed to be cool with it. And I do think it helped the Eagles being able to practice in cold weather. You can't really prepare for snow like that, but they've been cold outside of practice for the last 2 weeks. And I think that really does matter. That helps them.
Yeah. No, I do think. I think all those things kind of combine. Short week for the Rams, being home for the Eagles, being used to the conditions, and like they needed every inch of every advantage to get this one.
Yeah, and they got it done. Ultimately, that's all that really matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. You got anything else here? Any other thoughts? All right, we'll be back with you guys later in the week. This is where I remind you that if you enjoy the Eagle Eye Podcast, please do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. Everyone be safe in the snow. Hope you enjoyed that game. We got at least one more Eagles football game this year. A lot of fun. For Reuben Frank, I'm Dave Zangaro. This has been Eagle Eye, presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you soon.